I got blocked by Aaron Abke for exposing his lies. He claims I was throwing around malicious insults, but I have the receipts, I have the screenshots, I have the screen recordings, I have witnesses. And not only that, everything I said was backed up by direct quotes from the debate of which everything was all about. In fact, if you look here, you can see that I'm saying that we need to pray for all of them, and I feel sorry for them, and that we need to pray for them and their followers to come back to Christ, and that I hope that they can see beyond their ego to follow Christ again. After all, I don't hate these people. I love them, and it hurts my soul to see them walking away from Christ. They deserve Christ's love just as much as I do, and I truly hope that they can find their way back to Christ, both them and their followers. And this screenshot was taken by someone else that was blocked by Aaron Abke for malicious intent and throwing around insults. Yet I didn't see this man throwing around insults at all. He was being direct and maybe slightly abrasive, maybe, but not throwing around insults. And then my friend Sarah, well, she went on there to message Elijah to say that I got blocked so I can get back in touch with Elijah. And guess what? When she made this claim, guess what happened? She also got blocked. And here's the evidence. So what claims did I say that were so upsetting to them to get me blocked? Well, quite honestly, I just told the truth. I just took what the podcast said and what Aaron's claims were, and I combined them together, and I found points in which the podcast shows the exact opposite of what Aaron's claims are. I quoted them and posted them in the comments of that video, and I got blocked for it. See, I don't think he realized when he did this, silencing opposition is not a sign of strength. It's not a sign of standing fast or standing to your game. It's a sign of weakness, that your claim isn't actually as strong as you claim it is. See, I've not blocked a single person that isn't a bot. There's my block list right there. I firmly believe that you should never block anyone. If you block someone, that's just a sign of your inability to tolerate dissenting opinions. I've had people literally threaten me. I've not blocked them. I've had people disagree with me vehemently. I've not blocked them. I've had long, drawn-out conversations with people, and I've not blocked them. Now, I'm not trying to make this a me versus him thing. I'm just saying blocking someone who disagrees with you is almost like admitting your claim isn't as strong as theirs. And if your claim is so strong, why delete counterpoints? I mean, yeah, he deleted counterpoints. He deleted the comments that I made on that. He didn't delete all of my comments. He deleted those comments. Actually, sorry, I take that back. Later on, he did delete all my comments. Originally, he didn't delete all my comments. And then later, he went through and he deleted the comments. He first deleted the comments that I was saying it was all the facts of what actually happened. And he didn't like that, so he deleted those. There's many other videos and claims that he makes that I plan on doing a response video to dissect what he says. But Wesley did a much better job than I ever could. But I'm going to try to take the load off of him a little bit. I think Wesley's probably a little busy. So if you want to see all the evidence that I have to say that I wasn't being malicious, that I was trying to show love here, then stay tuned because we'll have a video coming out later this week. And if you're interested as to what my comments exactly were and everything like that, in the description here, I'm going to provide a link to a document to show what my comments were. Normally, I wear this. This is a balaclava, and I put this on. Why do I do this? It's a sign of respect to Jesus. It's a sign of respect to God and the gospel that I am to be forgotten. Forget me. I am faceless. Do not remember me. Remember Christ. Forget me. Remember Christ. That is my whole message. However, in this circumstance, I'm not sure if this is appropriate since I'm responding to someone and they deserve to face their accuser. So, I take this off. Because Aaron, you deserve to see my face. You deserve to see your accuser accuse you, not a faceless person on the internet. But so that I actually have a name for you to accuse. I go by Christian and I go by Ryder. You pick and choose. I don't care. But now you have the name of your accuser. I believe in freedom of discourse. I believe in freedom of discussion. I believe that we should all have the right to speak with openly in discourse, as very well you do say here, but your actions say otherwise. Because, well, if you have to block people, delete their comments to win, you've already lost. If what I said was so wrong, why not refute it? Why not prove me wrong? Now this video is going to be a very short video where we go over 3 claims. Claim 1 was that Wes was afraid to debate Aaron one-on-one. Claim 2, Aaron's arguments were unanswered. Claim 3 is the circular reasoning and twisting of arguments that is made throughout the video of his response to the podcast, as well as this conversation that we had in the comments of his own video. Now, was Wes Huff afraid to debate Aaron one-on-one? I doubt it. I don't know. None of us do. And of course, you guys might claim to know, but I don't know if I can trust you because, well, you've already shown that you're willing to alter footage and doctor things to make it look a certain way. What I do know, though, is that Wes's field of expertise is in historical facts, the biblical documents, and the actual written evidence of it. His expertise isn't in theology or philosophy or the common things of the time. That's what Anton and Stefan are there for. Stefan, who was brought in on this, has more of a philosophical and theological background, which is where his field of expertise is at, which is not where Wes's expertise is at, which Aaron's main points are theological and philosophical rather than actually historical, though he does use historical points to back up his theological and philosophical things. But those historical points he uses, well, they're from this side of the Bible, that side of the Bible, this side of the Bible, that side of the Bible, and they're all out of context, and he uses them to create one giant spider web to connect them all together to somehow make his point true. That, my friend, is called eisegesis and concordism, which I'll pull up the definitions here for you. Concordism. This happens when someone assumes that every verse they connect must be linked. Even if they are from different genres, historical context, theological purposes, this results in a web of misleading interpretations. And eisegesis? This is when someone reads their own meaning into the text, rather than drawing the meaning from the text, which is called exegesis. This often happens when people try to force together unrelated verses to fit their argument. Sounds a little bit like you do, but we'll get into that later. Even if it was the two of them, Wes and Stefan against Aaron, it sounds like that probably would have been a fair playing field, since Aaron claims to be an expert in philosophy, theology, and history. And the thing with claiming to be that way, like he does, when someone makes a false claim, there's a principle called Brandolini's principle, which I'm not going to say its other name because it's kind of a rude name, which is a factor of which something easy and false to be said takes a lot more to debunk it, which means that the out-of-context claims that you make require probably two people to rebuttal them because, well, you make some wild claims. And especially when Wes's expertise isn't on theology or philosophical matters, but is on historical matters, it takes two people to debunk what you say because you attack it from three different angles: philosophically, theologically, and historically, which means you need experts on each area to be able to debunk what your claim is. Because quite honestly, you can't be an expert in all three areas. It takes so much time and dedication to become an expert in all three areas that one person simply can't really become an expert in all three areas. Unless, of course, you're a god, then sure. But to summarize, this was never about Wes being scared. This was about him wanting the facts accurately explained, accurately attributed. He wanted to make sure that all aspects of this were given the proper scrutiny they deserve. And this whole theme that I've been saying is kind of presented throughout the entire podcast, where Stefan takes more of the theological and philosophical matters while Wes handles more of the historical matters. Now, on to claim 2. After the podcast, Aaron put out a 2.5-hour long video where it's him and Cameron talking, dissecting the podcast, saying Wes didn't respond to this, he didn't respond to this, he didn't give me time to talk here.
I'm gonna chime in here, Aaron, because you said it was gonna be 5 minutes and it's already been double that. So cool. We're at 10. There's like so much there already.
We were unprepared. That was kind of the whole notion of that whole 2-hour-long video. And not only that, I saw many points throughout the video where you cut off what Wes was saying and then be like, yeah, see, he didn't respond here. Well, he didn't respond to them in your video, but he did respond to you and to your claim in the full podcast. See, I'm speculating here. I'm really speculating and really pushing it. I'm not going to say this is true or not. I'm speculating here. I'm going to say this is how it looks. It looks like this podcast didn't go the way that you wanted. And in order to save face, keep control of the narrative, you put out this 2.5-hour long video for your followers to watch. To say, hey, go watch this one where we break everything down and say it how it really is. But, I mean, for you, the viewer, I'll let you go and watch both of them and decide yourself. I guess I'll put both the links down in the description on YouTube. Anyways, Aaron makes this claim that Wes never responded to him about certain things many times. And he even said that in the comments that I got banned from. And he kept repeating this same narrative throughout his comment section to people that were disagreeing with him. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt with him having maybe a short memory and say that this is a misleading claim and he didn't really remember all the times in which Wes rebutted him. Or we'll say that in his mind, Wes's rebuttals weren't true rebuttals, even though they provide the full context of what is being said, even though they address exactly what he was asking him to address. See, each time Wes kind of does this and rebuttals their claim and shows them the correct way, what they do is say, oh, well, that wasn't actually part of the Bible. That wasn't actually in there. Kind of convenient. One of the main parts that really made me lose Faith, I don't know if faith is the right way. One of the main things that made me really begin to question Aaron's motives was when he started to say that there was a Hebrew version of Matthew, and then Wesley corrected him on this, and then he kind of sidestepped a little bit and was said, okay, well, yeah, but we back translate it from Greek to Hebrew, and then we find the word that we're looking for.
So I do have a clarifying question. So I've been looking up all the passages that you've been pulling up, and none of the Greek passages that you've been pulling up use the word ebianin as poor. I'm seeing patron as the standard Greek word for poor.
It is.
Matthew 19.
But we're talking about the
21.
Hebrew word.
There is no Hebrew Matthew, though. Like we only have the Greek.
There's no Hebrew Gospel of Matthew?
No, not
You
that's
don't believe there's
extant.
a Hebrew Gospel of Matthew?
We have no manuscripts of Matthew that are other than Greek.
But we have over
We know
12
that-
church fathers attesting to the Hebrew Gospel of Matthew that it was written in the Hebrew
Yeah.
dialect. Jerome says he translated it from Hebrew to Greek and Latin, and we have 48 surviving quotes from it as well.
I think we can prove pretty comprehensively that what we have as the Gospel of Matthew was not only originally penned in Greek, but that it includes the actual words of Jesus in Greek as he spoke them in Greek, because we have primary evidence of the fact that certain audiences would have only been spoken to in Greek by Jesus, and the language displays that internally. But no, the original Gospel of Matthew, as we have it, was not written in Hebrew, so we have no evidence of ebianin even being used in Matthew. It's only we only have the Greek word used, and patron is the word used. So we have no evidence of ebianin even being referenced. So you have to back translate it to even justify that, but it's an argument from silence.
Well, the designation, the poor, whether it's transliterated from Hebrew to Greek or not, and whoever authored Matthew in Greek would have used the Greek word for poor. But the correlation that's most important to us especially is the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Correct. But you can't ascribe that to Matthew because we don't have any evidence of it.
Which is just a textbook case of confirmation bias. From then, which they say, well, we have quotes from Jesus in Aramaic, Hebrew, which is true, but we also have quotes from Jesus in Greek, which is how we know that Jesus most likely spoke 3 languages. See, a kind of a common theme of the era was to quote people in the language of which they said it, so that their actual words don't get lost in translation. So when Jesus quotes in Greek, he's most likely saying that in actual Greek. When he quotes in Hebrew, he's most likely saying that in actual Hebrew, like when he's in the temple reading the scripts. That is in Hebrew. When he's talking to people in Aramaic, or he's talking to people in Greek. See, Greek was the trade language, as is talked about in there. We're not going to get into that. I'm going down a path where I shouldn't be going down, and I need to come back to the main point. Wes did a great job talking about that. If you guys want to see that, go check out the podcasts and the videos. I'll leave the links down there. So now let's get into why I was blocked. So what I did is I went through the actual debate transcript and found the points of what Aaron said didn't happen and quoted those points off, put them all out into a giant long list of saying, Aaron says this is what happened. Aaron says this is what happened. Aaron says this is what happened. Here's a picture of that document. And then I copied that document in piece by piece by piece and sent it to them in the comments. And somehow that was being rude. Interesting. All I did was point out the facts. I think the closest thing I got to actually being rude there was when I said that they had circular reasoning in what they were saying and that it was grossly misleading. I think that was the closest thing I got to throwing ad hominems at them. But then they did the same thing to other people. They kept using circular reasoning and saying that's not true and stuff like that. Interesting. Example 1 of this. While going through the transcripts, I have several examples. Here's example 1. It's the rich young ruler. Now I'm paraphrasing Aaron's claim, and I'm paraphrasing what Wes said is here as well. But Aaron's claim was that Jesus taught salvation through works, not faith. And he said that Wes didn't really respond to him here. But Wes did. Now here's what Wes said directly against what Aaron is saying. Jesus wasn't giving a universal salvation formula. He was exposing the ruler's attachment to the wealth. The commandments weren't enough because the young man still clung to his riches at that point. And Aaron's response to that? Well, he ignored it and continued on. Claim 2, the blood atonement. Aaron's claim? Jesus never taught atonement through blood. Wes's actual response? Well, aside from Isaiah 53, Wes says, Jesus himself said, at the Last Supper, this is my blood, which I poured out for many, for the forgiveness of sins. Matthew 26:28. If Jesus didn't teach blood atonement, why would he explicitly say this? Aaron's response? None. No direct rebuttal. This pattern seems to happen over and over and over again. Aaron ignores the claims or claims that they aren't true for some reason, much like someone named Billy Carson did. So Aaron claims that Wes never really responded to him, but the transcript and the podcast say something entirely different. So either Aaron didn't actually listen or he's being dishonest, and I honestly want to say that he just wasn't listening. I don't want to call him a liar. I don't want to say that he's being dishonest. I think he may have not just been listening. I think he may have just been hearing what he wanted to hear. The last thing I want to do is call someone a liar. But I do want to make sure the truth is known. Just because someone is saying something that isn't the truth doesn't make them a liar. It can make them ignorant, it can make them clueless, it can make them just closed-minded, and it can make them a liar. But I don't want to throw around demeaning terms just calling him a liar with no basis. I mean, it is entirely possible that he just only heard what he wanted to hear. 3. Circular reasoning and twisting arguments. See, in this debate, Cameron claims that they have countless lines of evidence that they used, but he never provides those countless lines of evidence. An example of this is Jeremiah 8:8. Let's look up Jeremiah 8:8. I'm going to read it off so that we know exactly what it is. Here we are. Jeremiah 8:8. How can you say, we are wise and the law of the Lord is with us, when, in fact, the false pen of the scribes has made it into a lie? What does this mean? Let me read through this real fast. Okay, now having spent a little bit of time studying Jeremiah 8:8, I can understand why they came to the conclusion that they have, saying this verse is claiming this. But when you look at the full context of it, when you look at the actual Hebrew that is being used here, it is a complex thing. However, it is quite clearly showing that Jeremiah here is accusing these people who are using idols and worshiping idols of taking the law, so these scribes of taking the law and twisting it to allow them to have idols. It's not saying that the current law that we have or the Torah that we see is the version that they had that they changed, but rather that they had the version of the Torah that was saying that they could worship idols, that allowed them to worship idols, and Jeremiah was vehemently attacking them for this. They falsely believed that merely just having the law and knowing the law is enough, that they don't really need to follow it. And Jesus kind of follows Jeremiah's idea here for kind of the exact same reason of which the Pharisees were using the law. They knew the law, but they weren't following it. It's kind of the same thing here. This is something for Huff and them to go into, which they do go into, and then you argue that they didn't really talk about this, but they did. This is where the circular reasoning comes in, that the Bible is corrupt because Jeremiah 8:8 says so. And then they say, and we know what Jeremiah 8:8 means because we know that the Bible is corrupt. They're kind of saying the Bible is corrupt because of Jeremiah 8:8. We know that Jeremiah 8:8 says this because the Bible is corrupt, because Jeremiah 8:8 says this. So it's kind of a circular reasoning of saying, Jeremiah 8:8 says this, Bible is corrupt because Jeremiah 8:8 says this. And we know that Jeremiah 8:8 means this because the Bible is corrupt, because Jeremiah 8:8 says this. And again, Wes does contradict this and actually go attack this claim here that he makes. Wes says, Jeremiah 8:8 isn't saying the scripture is corrupt. It's condemning the corrupt scribes who mishandled God's law. There's a difference. And Aaron, yet again, ignored it. Aaron's method here, and nothing against him, I think it's just a case of confirmation bias where you look for something and you find this is something that confirms what you were looking for, and then you run with it. Anyways, his method here is to take a small piece of the truth, take a partial truth, and then stretch it out into this long, blown-up narrative, and then use other small little verses that are also stretched out and create this spider web sort of thing, again, eisegesis, to prove the narrative that he wants. See, if you have to misinterpret scripture and ignore direct responses, maybe your argument isn't as strong as you think it is. I mean, in the end, they blocked me. My friend who messaged Elijah in that comment section saying, hey, writer in Christ got blocked by them. They blocked her for saying that and saying that it sounds like they don't want to be challenged. They blocked her. And they blocked Epic Curious Traveler, who is the one that sent me this screenshot. And I don't know about you, but if your argument is so weak that you have to block people that you don't agree with for your argument to stand on itself, your argument's not that strong. And here's the evidence that I wasn't being malicious. Like, right there is what I said. I'm not going to break down everything in this video here, but later this week I'll put out a video with both of these two amazing gentlemen, who I'm honestly thankful for this whole interaction, because I wouldn't have met these two amazing gentlemen if it wasn't for this whole interaction to have happened. And honestly, I wear being blocked by someone like this like a badge of honor, because it means that my claim was strong enough to be blocked by them. It means it may have damaged a little bit of their control over their followers enough that it deserved me getting blocked and my comments deleted. And in the end, I'm proud to be where I am being blocked by this person. I don't block anyone because the truth holds up to scrutiny. And if my argument is strong enough, I don't need to silence anyone. And this video is here to see the facts they tried to erase, to see that they're not trying to push out what the truth is. They're trying to erase what the truth is. Because if they had the truth, they wouldn't need to erase false claims. Erasing false claims is called censorship. This is why I made this video, because they tried to erase my responses. They tried to erase his responses. They blocked my friend for just letting Elijah know that they blocked me. If you stand on truth, you do not need to silence anyone. You refute them. And they didn't refute me. They didn't even respond to me on the topics and points that I pointed out. They just blocked me and deleted my comments. And in my opinion, that tells you everything you need to know. Really actually unfortunate, because having a discussion with Aaron would have actually been a little nice. I don't like having one-sided discussions where I just tell someone everything and never hear back from them. I want to hear their response. I want to hear a rebuttal from them, and I want to think, because I'm an open-minded. That's how I got to where I am right now. That's how I became a Christian, is I'm an open-minded person. I was an atheist for a long time. I grew up in a Christian household. I became a closeted atheist where I hated Christianity. Honestly, I despised my parents for raising me in Christianity, and I despised them for their faith in Christ. But as I grew up, as things happened around me, and as I began to try to actually prove Christ wrong, to prove the Bible wrong, I began to find that I couldn't do so. And when I couldn't prove the facts wrong, I went to probability. To prove that the probability of us being here from a creator is so small that it's stupid to even believe it. And I actually found exactly the opposite. I found that it's so probable that we were here and put on this planet by a creator that it's irrational to believe that we came from nothing. It is more understandable to believe that we came from something, which is God, than that we are just specks floating around that mean nothing. And then I came to Christ because much of what Wesley has learned. I didn't know of Wesley. I didn't come to Christ because of Wesley. I came to Christ before that by doing my own research, which is actually studying the manuscripts and studying the Bible and trying to understand it entirely, and studying the history of the Bible and as to why the Bible is claimed so much. I studied the Quran, Islam, Buddhism, and a few other ones, but pretty quickly, within probably about a month, I decided that Christianity was definitely the way. This video isn't meant to be on this, but I just wanted to share a little bit of my story there. One thing I will say is the way you conduct yourself is very great. You conduct yourself in a very respectful manner. Same thing with you, Cameron. You both conduct yourselves in a very respectful manner, much like Wesley does, which is why I actually respect Wesley so much. And I respect you guys too. I respected you a lot more when you didn't block me, but I still respect you for how you conduct yourself. And I applaud you for that, because in today's day and age, that's hard to find. Most people just start screaming when they are proven wrong. So this video in the end is just to hold people accountable who try to hide the truth. And Aaron and Cameron, I sincerely, I'm praying for you. Praying for both you and your followers. I'm praying that you will come back to Christ. You guys are wonderful human beings, I'm sure of it. God bless, my friends. If you want to see the entire conversation that happened in the comments, I'll leave the entire conversation here. Where it gets to a point where they deleted one of my comments, I have a few screenshots of what I said. I'm going to interject a screenshot of what my comment was in that particular point, so you can see that it's in the correct context. The comments that I made after those first original comments, they all got deleted before I had the opportunity to screenshot it or have anyone else screenshot it, unfortunately. I do have the entire full document that I used, I copied and pasted from to post there, and I have here is the receipts showing that Elijah liked my comments, showing that I did in fact post them. They didn't block me for anything else that I didn't say or said that was egregious. That's all I said. And so that's going to be right here. But again, if you want to see a full-length video, stay tuned, give me a follow, and be on the lookout for later this week. We're going to put out a full-length video. We're going to jump on a video call, and we're all going to talk about this.
Okay, so I'm here, and I'm looking for this person who I've been having a conversation with, Aaron Abke. Not there. Not there. I had a conversation with him where I completely dismantled his entire argument. In fact, I have everything written on my computer. Let me start this camera recording. Let me pause this. Okay. So
I can't find it here, right? This is, we were just showing this. Air ABKE. Doesn't show up there like we just showed there. I have the entire what I wrote here responding to them. If I click here, it's blocked now, apparently.
But I had all these responses said to them, and then if we come to here and we look there, my comments aren't there. Like, this guy responded to me, but
Jesus didn't say that. There was a part of me before I met Aaron.
where's my comments at? They're not there. They deleted all my comments that completely dismantled all their arguments, proved that they were wrong. They deleted it so that no one else could see it.
Oh yeah, I mean it clearly has an agenda. Now Aaron is deceived.
Now, if someone's seeking an agenda to portray things in a certain way, it's when you do stuff like that. That's crazy. I didn't think it was that deep, but okay. That's kind of wild. I just want to record this so I can have it there. So to this comment right here that Aaron said, I responded to that comment basically saying that you obviously didn't go into the Billy Carson's comment section to see how many Christians there were trying to rebuttal Billy Carson when he was trying to make the video saying that he was wrong, which is exactly what Aaron just did. He put out a 2-hour-long video saying, like, that's a solely one-sided video where he cuts and edits his response to the podcast in a way to make it look like Wes was being ingenuine and not responding to his things and trying to not responding to his questions and trying to hide his what he was saying. And then this guy here basically was saying that I also just wanted to clarify that it was supposed to be one-on-one with just Wes and Aaron, but Wes didn't want that. Well, the reason behind it, and it's actually shown in the podcast, and Wes discusses it, which is what I responded saying to him, is that the reason being is that Stefan, who is the second guy to Wes on that side of the team, is a more theological and philosophical person. That's where his area of expertise lies, whereas Wes's expertise lies more in the physical of what's actually written there. Aaron, the guy that made this video, that was the debate was with, is more of a theologian. That's where a lot of his ideas come from. He looks at historical stuff and extrapolates out historical ideas to come up with theological ideas that don't really match what the actual words say, but just to refute that even better, because Wes didn't think that he'd be able to refute it as well, he invited Stefan, and they both agreed to have a two-party on each side, so two teams with two people debating in this, because they felt like that was, Wes and Stefan felt like this would be the best way to get this information across, and to be able to rebuttal everything that is said there, because Wes didn't think he would have the ability to rebut the theological stuff as well as his friend Stefan would.